Hey team, welcome to your cool down of the week. This week we're going to need an ab mat. You're going to need access to a wall, or you can use the rig, and those will be the two things that we need for our practice today. We're going to start standing, and we're going to get into a chest stretch to begin. So first thing I'm going to have you do is set your hand up at the wall about shoulder height. You can just press your palm into the wall, and then really straighten the arm. Draw the shoulder down, doesn't matter which side you're starting with. And then you're going to just turn away with the chest. And you're really pushing the wall away so you get length through the arm. You feel that big stretch in the chest. You might feel it go radiating down the elbow into the forearms. Just really depends on where you're tight today. Okay. You can also play with different orientations of the hand on the wall to see if that gives you different stretches in different parts of the arm. Okay. So we're just going to breathe here for a couple more moments. Really opening up through the front of the chest. Good. All right, gently release that, and then we're just going to turn around and switch sides. So palm flat on the wall, about shoulder height. Okay. Straighten the arm, push the wall away. Draw the shoulder down so that the shoulder blade kind of sits low in the back. And then we'll just turn that chest away from the wall. Feel that space and that stretch. Good. Couple more moments here. Push the wall away, really open up. Good, and gently release. Okay. Next up, couch stretch. You're gonna want your ab mat. There's a few different ways you can get into this position. I'll show you one way that may or may not work. And then once I show you that, you can play around with different ways to get yourself here. So we're gonna start with the left knee down on the mat. Okay, and I'm gonna put my left knee down first and then get my foot up on the wall. Okay, so for some of us that are tight in the hips and the hip flexors, just getting into that position might be tough. And then you got to bring your opposite foot forward so you're in kind of a lunge. Okay. From here, we lift the torso. No, it's okay to start if your torso is far from the wall. I just want you to kind of sit up and get long through the torso. You're going to feel a big stretch in the hip crease. Now, if I have the space, I'm going to start to push my whole back towards the wall, keeping my chest up, and I'm going to feel extra space right in the hip crease, maybe even down into the meat of the quad. Now, if your back is all the way at the wall, mine isn't today, stay there. And if you are not all the way at the wall, just kind of breathe into it and every so often inch yourself a little closer. Now, if you need a little more from here, we're going to lift the left arm up and then lean over to the right side. Just add a little bit of length through that hip crease. I'm just going to play around with this stretch and just breathing into the tight spot to help create a little less tension. Good. All right. Feel free to stay in that longer if you'd like, but we're going to end up switching sides. So go ahead and slowly peel yourself out of that. Just let your hips come forward. You can drop your right knee down and just slide yourself off the wall. And then we're going to go into the second side. Okay. And so to enter this position, I'm going to put my knee first onto the mat and then my foot on the wall. And then I'm going to take my left foot and bring it forward so I'm in that kind of lunge position. And then again, we're going to lift the torso first, even if your hips aren't close to the wall. Keep that chest lifted, and then you can press your whole body back. You may or may not get to the wall today, and that's okay. We just want to feel that big stretch through the front. Now, once you've gotten into position, if you feel like you want more, that right arm lifts and leans to the left. We'll just breathe through this for a couple more moments and just, like you did on the first side, play around with the position and where you feel the stretch. And yeah, this is an intense stretch, so try to breathe into it. Good. All right. Slowly unhook yourself from that position, and you can put that ab mat off to the side. And we're going to come into a seated straddle position. Okay. So as we take a seat, we're going to do a combo stretch here. There's two things happening. Okay. So we'll get straddle with the legs, and I want you to find a width where you're not rounded in the back. You're actually able to sit up on those sit bones a little bit more, and those toes can point up. If that is narrow, that's okay. But if we can get a little wider for a little additional stretch, let's go for that. Okay. So we keep that chest up, and then we're going to come into eagle arms. Eagle arms is going to start with the right arm. So we're going to go right arm under the left. Okay, so right elbow under the left elbow. From here, we draw the shoulders down and then try to hook the hands. Maybe you've got thumb and first finger. Maybe you've got the palms. Maybe you got nothing. We got lots of muscles here. So, you guys do what you can to get into position. And then make sure those shoulder blades are set down. And then elevate those elbows just a tiny bit. And if you have more, you can bring the hands forward away from the face. You should feel a stretch just go across the mid-back, upper back. You can feel those traps, the space between the shoulder blades get a stretch. Now, if you're really feeling fancy, you can go ahead and bow forward into this straddle. So you're getting the stretch across the back, and you're getting the stretch in the hamstrings, the inner thighs, all that stuff. And breathe. Good. Inhale will bring you up. Ooh, and just release gently. Shake it out, just to kind of reset as we go into the second side. Okay, so this time left elbow will go under. Okay, and then again, grab for what you can. Some days will be easier than others, especially if you're sore, it's going to be really tough to get in here. So, do what you can. Grab the finger and thumb, whole palm, whatever it is. Drop the shoulders down away from the ears, and then elbows can come up and hands can go forward a little bit. And then just like the other side, if you have the ability, you can lean forward a little to get more stretch through the straddle and get that upper back stretch. And we'll gently unwind. Whew. Just kind of let that blood flow get back in there. Shoulder rolls, little head roll. And grab the outer edges of the knees, and then you can just bend those knees to help your legs come back together. We have two more. Next one's going to be Cobra. So we're going to flip over onto our belly. And as we get there, we're going to put our hands like we'd be doing a push-up kind of under the elbows. Okay. And we'll roll the shoulders down the back and kind of keep those elbows pinned in. And then you want your legs long behind you. From here, Cobra is just lifting the chest, pressing through the palms, and coming up. Now, if you can straighten your arms, go for that. Okay. Should feel a stretch through the belly. If you're feeling any pain in the lower back, just create a little bit more tension through the core. Suck that belly button in. That will help keep that back a little bit tight and create less pain if you're feeling anything. And then let's go exhale down. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift the chest. Push through the palms, shoulders back and down. Try to soften where you can. And exhale to release. And then last one, inhale. It's a little bit more of an active position. So that's why we exhale, release every so often. Good. All right. Next up and final, we've got our pyramid. So we're going to come to a standing position. Okay. And we're going to go left foot forward. Not sure why we're starting with left today, but sometimes we do. Left foot forward, right foot back. Now, in this position, I want that back heel down. It gives you more solid footing. And I want you to feel like you're on railroad tracks. So more like your width is like the mat and not on a tightrope. Then, as you see, my hips are not square towards that front foot. So I'm going to pull this left hip back and roll this right hip forward. Okay. From here, like you'd be doing a deadlift, you're going to push your hips back, keep your back flat. You might find that once you get here, this is all you have. Cool. I want the back more flat than towards the shin. Now, if you feel like you can keep that back relatively extended as you bring the fingertips down, go for that. And then if you're all the way here, keep reaching the chest to the floor and just let yourself drop towards the shin. Good. And you should be feeling this in the hamstrings of that left leg, the upper part of the back of the leg. You can kind of move around a little bit for these last few moments. You can wiggle the hips side to side if you feel like that's helpful. And now hands on hips, and then on an inhale, just go ahead and stand. And then check out your feet. See if we can switch our feet and put them right in the positions they were in, just on second side. Okay. So back heel is down. Your feet are almost as wide as the mat for balance. And then checking out your hips. This right hip needs to pull back. The left hip needs to roll forward. So I'm facing forward. Okay. Lift the chest, start to bow as though you're doing a good morning. You'll feel that hamstring pull. And then from here is where we can start to decide if we want to stay or we can come forward more. Some days are easier than others, and it just depends on your recovery, where you are in that recovery process, post-workout, all that stuff. If you're cold or hot, sometimes being hot can help. So, every day is a little different. Last few breaths here. You can start moving around a little bit in those hips. You can wiggle them side to side, bend the knee a little bit. Good. And hands on the hips. Inhale. We'll bring you all the way up. Very good. Thank you for joining me for your cool down. Remember, the cool down is there for two things. One, it helps you recover from the workout that you just did and helps you to prepare for the workout ahead. So cool downs function in a lot of different ways. You can use them in a lot of different ways. And like always, feel free to stay in the pose longer than here on the video, especially if one's feeling really good and you need that stretch. So yeah, enjoy, and I'll see you guys next week.